How's it going, everybody? This is Eddie Inzauto, GamerNode Editor-in-Chief, and I'm here with another video capture device review. This time we're looking at the Hauppauge HD PVR 2 Gaming Edition. Now this is the update to Hauppauge's HD PVR, which is something we've used here at GamerNode to produce some of our video reviews and previews. But let's take a look at what makes this one different and better. Now, I've cheated a little bit to make it easier to show you. We're going to look at everything that's in the box here. We've got one component cable. This is specifically for your PS3 or PS2, and I'll tell you about that in a second. And this also goes along with it. This is an input for component. Then otherwise, its claim to fame is that it's HDMI, input and output. So this device operates on both input and output HDMI. A USB cable to connect to your computer. Unlike my previous review for the AverMedia Game Capture HD, this one does need to be connected to your computer. Now, looking at the Hauppauge itself, it's very small. It's nice and sleek. It's really solid design. And if you were to compare this directly to the previous Hauppauge HD PVR, you would see it's roughly a half to a third the size. So if we look at the back, and I also forgot to mention we have a power cord and installation instructions and disc. And that's because this one does need to connect to the computer. So looking at the back here, we have HDMI in and out, and we have this special AV in. Now, this is specifically for your PS3 because the PS3 is a Blu-ray player, and Blu-ray has measures for copy protection. So you're not allowed to record 1080p like you would be from your Xbox 360 on this thing. So although the Hauppauge HD PVR 2 does record all the way up to 1080p, for your PS3 you will be limited to 720p or 1080i using your component cables, which are included. And obviously here's our USB output to the computer and your power source. Now, although this does have to connect to your computer and you have to be running software while you're doing your recording, unlike the previous model, this one includes a button on top, and that will allow you to start and stop recording, you know, with the touch of a button. So you don't need to be sitting at your computer in order to do that. Now let's go ahead and look at some technical specifications on the HD PVR 2. So when you're recording with this device, you're going to be outputting using an H.264 AVC HD codec, and that will give you a recording format of either your standard M2TS or everyone's favorite MP4 for easy manipulation. Now you can record with the included software and then edit with the included software, or you can record and then take that over to your favorite editor and do it that way. But before we get into the software, there are a few little caveats about your recording. When you're playing games in 1080p, which I mentioned before, your output to your TV is going to be at 60 frames per second. Your recordings, however, are going to be at 30 frames per second. And again, this is only for your Xbox 360 or for your computer because, like I said before, the Blu-ray player integrated into the PS3 limits the recording options. So you'll be recording from your PS3 using component video out, and you'll be recording at 1080i at 60 frames a second. One other thing about the HD PVR 2 that isn't readily apparent is that this will record composite video in and S-video in if you get an optional, not included converter, much like this, from Hauppauge. So if you wanted to record standard definition sources, you could do that as well. And speaking of converters and adapters, being that this is an HDMI in device, that will allow you to record from your computer as well, should you have an HDMI out. And also, if you have a DVI out, it's very standard to have a DVI to HDMI converter. So for the first time in Hauppauge's product line, you're going to be able to record from your computer, which is really nice. And like I mentioned earlier, having this button here means that you'll be playing full screen, so you won't have access to the software, but because you have this button, it will record when you touch the button. Now there is a delay. It's roughly, 8 to 10 seconds, so you're going to want to press this in advance if you're trying to record with any precision. So you press, wait a little bit, blah blah blah, and then get to the footage that you're really trying to capture. And then of course once you're done and you have your clip edited, the included software will allow you to upload directly to YouTube to cut out a step, which is convenient. If you're editing in your own nonlinear video editor, you'll have to find your own way, but most of them do include that same option. And speaking of the software, I think it's about time we take a look at it. Now remember how I said earlier that you connect your computer to the HD PVR2 via HDMI? Well, that's what we're looking at now. This is actually the ArcSoft Showbiz software that comes with your HD PVR2, and we're on the capture module here because we're clearly capturing video directly to the device right now from my computer. This is what you're going to see. You have your source. You'll choose your Hauppauge Sienna video capture. Your video input, you'll have to select HDMI if you're using HDMI, or component or composite, whatever you choose to use. Then you have device settings, which we can't actually go into now, and format settings, which will let you adjust your bit rates and downsampling. I don't know why you'd want to downsample rather than record natively. All your audio formats, everything like that. Right now we're recording in M2TS. I tried MP4 and I had some problems with that. I'm going to have to talk to Hauppauge about that. But after you're done recording, you'll hit the stop button here, or you could hit the button on the device itself. There is a delay. There's a delay if you hit the button on the screen. It's a few second delay, and they suggest it's a 30-second delay if you use the button on the device itself. Now that's assuming that it's not open. You press the button, it sends the message to your computer, it opens up the program, gets out the capture module, and starts a recording. That's about 30 seconds. If you have the capture module open and waiting, it's going to be much shorter, probably around like 10 seconds. Once you're done recording, there's an editor here. It gives you storyboard or timeline options. There's a transitions tab for a variety of transitions between clips, and then there's an effects tab which can give you things like blurs and filters, different color correction and split screen effects, and you can add text to your videos as well. Then finally you have a produce tab, and you can create a DVD which takes you to another part of the software to design your DVD menu before you export that and burn it to a disk. And then you can export to a file, and you have the option of MOV, AVI, MPEG, and Windows Media Video. Each of those has a few quality settings that you can adjust before doing the final export. And then you can adjust different preferences in there for your default folder outputs. You can see down here on my screen that I had to save to something different. Everything defaults to my videos. So that's something you'll want to adjust, and it's very easy to do so. And then finally, there's a YouTube option which lets you one-click upload to the predetermined YouTube account that you've input into your preferences. And it'll save a file to your temporary folder and then upload it automatically. And you can upload in 720p, 480p, or 320. One other thing that I failed to mention was right here there's a capture button. So if you are paying very close attention to your computer while you're playing a game or whatever you're doing, say you're doing this, you can take a screenshot by clicking that button as well. That's about the extent of the software. It's basic and straightforward, which is good because you want it to be as simple as possible. I mean, clearly it's not quite as simple as the AverMedia Game Capture HD, which is just plug and play into a USB stick. But this is, the next best thing, and this obviously provides you the option for HDMI input. So, that said, I'll show you a little bit of gameplay footage, and you can make the call for yourself. Okay, so we've moved over to my Xbox 360, and for comparison's sake, I figured we would work with the same game that we were talking about with our last HD video capture device. This is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. We're going to see how this looks on the Xbox. We're using component cables, and we're recording at 720p because that's what my output is for now. What I didn't mention earlier was that I was recording at a bit rate of about 8. The software allows you to go from 1 up to 12. We've moved it up to 12 for the purposes of recording the video game footage. So if you see differences between the quality from the computer and now, then you'll understand why. And like I said before, there was a little bit of a delay on my computer screen. Well, that's a result of the software looping back around to the same device, whereas now I'm playing in real time on my TV, and there's a slight delay in the recording on the computer. So, as promised, the Hauppauge HD PVR does play in real time, absolutely without question. So, let's jump right into this. One thing I like about the HD PVR 2 is that once the device has recorded my game footage, it's on my computer. I don't have to then pick it up and take it with me from the device to the computer. Now, for some, that is a benefit, and for others, that may be a drawback. With the AverMedia, the Game Capture HD, having it stand alone is a big plus if that's something you'd like to do. If you want to just start playing whenever you want, record the video, and then take it to your computer later, that's a plus. Whereas with this, you have a little bit more control in the recording, but you have a little less versatility. All in all, though, I would say the Hauppauge is a great little unit. It records high-quality video in a number of formats. It gives you included software to make sure that your videos are all well-produced to the standards that one would expect from a company like this. And everything functions as it should. You get high-quality videos out of it. I don't like that you can't record in 1080p at 60 frames a second, which is something that's been remedied with firmware updates on its competitor. And obviously with none of these devices can you record in full 1080p via HDMI from your PlayStation 3, so that's something that levels the playing field among them all. But definitely worth the purchase. For I believe $160 you can pick up a Hauppauge HD PVR 2. I'll have the link to Amazon for you to grab it. That's about it. Thanks for watching.